Good noon. It's Joyful Christian Hermit, and I'm on my way to help the daughter who needs assistance. There's no dogs in the truck, so you just have an empty background. But I'm realizing what has happened with the yearning for God and realizing I am so missing the freedom and the joy of my hermit vocation, including oftentimes more suffering. You recognize more things because prior I was not actively working on my manual labor. Maybe a couple hours a day, 2-3 hours at most, garden or otherwise. When I was working harder in the garden this spring, getting more things established and doing more cleanup, maybe I'd do 4 hours. But gardening is so in tune with contemplation and so close with nature. But of course, working with materials like wood and even adhesives, mortars and things like that, which are made from like oftentimes concrete bases and things, and tile, or stone, even if they're man-made tile, it's a sense of stone. So there's elements of touch in that is very conducive to contemplation and to God's creation. Even man-made things, because God made man and gave us the ability to create. But since I have decided to try to get the place finished, and the tasks have become more mental, requiring much mental focus, of which I'm fortunate. There's 1/8 inch, 2/16 inch variance from one end of where a 4-foot tile will go to the other. So I thought it could have been much worse with the trouble I was having, getting things to be plumb and level, and oh my. So, but I'm reliant on others. Brian doesn't appear to be home, so I need help lifting. I have the 48 inch marked from 12 1/16 to 12 3/16 at an angle from one end to the end, so it's going to have to be carefully cut. I'm going to mark it with a grease pencil so it doesn't come off so easily with water blowing on it through the table saw. Or it's not a table saw, it's a stand saw. But so my daughter texted, she wants some assistance. Well, the truck has been so useful for many people over the years I've had it. Precious Blood, that's its name. And because she needs to get a couple of doors. She has some doors that are hollow, that were bathroom doors and have holes in them. Best to have solid doors on bathrooms or master bedrooms for noise purposes. Hollow doors do not have any noise silencing capacities. You can hear people tinkle and do other things in bedrooms. So we'll handle that, and she has to get some other supplies. So onward and forward, helping with others, but it's another day of effort. I cut more wood for her baseboards, and we'll do a final fit at her bathroom baseboards with the wood. And I cut another piece this morning, and we'll fit it and make sure. And then I will get her gallon of advanced paint. I bought Benjamin Moore for her trim paint, and probably shouldn't have, but I love that paint, and I figured I might be the one using it. It's a different color than what I use, different tint, but it's lovely, very light and pretty and fresh. Greek Villa, it's a Sherman Williams color, my daughter uses Sherwin-Williams. I tried in vain to get her to switch to Benjamin Moore, but for an extra $5 or $10 per gallon when the paint's on the wall for many years, or can be, if you don't change your mind, it's one of those things you're not going to worry about on your deathbed, that you paid a little extra money for really quality paint. That's my little advertisement for paint. But no, so I've had to sort through in my mind and in my heart what has happened to my inner, this yearning for God, and my sense of my hermit life of being all asunder. So, and that's it. I'm increased the manual labor trying to get finished, and I'm doing tasks now with finishing work that require the mind more, to pay attention to what I'm doing. At some point soon, I will be wiring and laying out the heat warmer film on the master bath floor before I put down the LVP. It has capacity to heat the floor so that when you get out of the shower, it's nice and warm on your feetsies. It's a nice sales inclusion when you're renovating a house and going with the intention of reselling, and eventually it will be sold. But all of this has made me realize just what I am missing and what I do miss of my hermit vocation. So I prayed about it. The best thing to do, and then I had my cousin who needed help, and that got me off track. Not off track, into the world. And the world isn't off track, but for a hermit, it can be painful because that isn't our home. I saw beautiful clouds yesterday in the sky. They were low-lying, but they were, I guess you would call cumulus or something, very white and fluffy. Not as far up as other clouds, and I thought, that's hermits right there. Not super far up in the sky, up in the atmosphere, visible but yet untouchable. Reminders of heaven, yet not there, and very much still temporal, but ethereal. If I were up in a cloud, it would not look like, it would not seem as it does when I look at it from Earth. So that's the hermit vocation, a cloud. That's my latest metaphor for it. Hermit is a cloud, a reminder of heaven, should be halfway to heaven or more. And lately, for a while, I've been in a stew over too many worldly things, including, my daughter wanting to trade when I wasn't incapacitated. That was the original plan. But then I realized over time, of fussing about it in my mind and talking it over online, and, in a way, creating a situation where many people, including Sean's grandmother, will think how terrible. She's taking her mother's home. And no, God has worked me around to realizing I don't want it. I talked to a man at the dog park last night, the dad of Aurora. The dog's name was Aurora. Big husky, 16-month-old, but very well trained. And the man is a musician, professional musician all his life. He'd been in the Air Force in music, composing and jazz, in the Air Force band or orchestra or whatever. And he's continued after Air Force. He and his wife lived in Alaska for a while. Now they're here. And he's continued on with his group of that create music and produce it. And they do it for documentaries and movies and things in Hollywood. So that he has to fly down there every now and then. Most of them are documentaries, not films that we would necessarily recognize. But wonderful ones all the same, and probably better than some that we see out in the general market. But he was talking about how they'd had a massive earthquake in Alaska, and they lost 2/3 of their house and possessions, things they had accumulated over the years. Then they redid it all, and then they had a flood. Then their group moved here, and rather than commute from Alaska, they decided to move here. And the wife, who was the one that kept wanting a house, and keeping their house and their things, and she had a certain area she wanted to do her quiet reading and relaxing and away from his music area and all. So very, very definitely she wanted all that. All of a sudden she said, let's just get rid of all this stuff. And he couldn't believe it. And they ended up getting a fifth-wheeler, like a recreational vehicle that you can tow with a truck, pickup truck. And they came here and they got a location in one of these RV parks, and they're not easy to come by. But they got favored because they're permanent residents. They prefer, they have a certain quota of transient people. They want a certain amount of permanent ones to sustain their costs and the investment of whoever owns the vehicle park. And the wife found out if she works 1 month there a year, they get many perks and discounts for their freebies on top of her getting a little salary. So she's doing that once a month. She was a teacher, special education teacher, and she's thrilled with this job. It's the first time, she says, she gets thank yous from people. In teaching is rather a thankless job, and the parents in special education can be very difficult to deal with. They want so much for their children to be normal, quote unquote normal, if there is such a thing in children or adults. And so she had years of that to deal with, of expectations that were unrealistic, and the pressure put on the teachers, which thankfully, instead of on their children, well, partly some on their children, I'm sure, but it would be unfair to do it all the pressure on their children to succeed, or to the parents' expectations of what other children in the normal, quote-unquote, classroom setting have. So it was an interesting conversation, and he said they have never felt more free in their lives and are happiest. And I said, I'd often thought that I would like to just have an RV and be in an RV park. I did hear that it can cost, I think, $800 a month just for the rental space. And my mortgage is, well, it's gone up $100 now, but not quite $190 a month starting in October. But it wasn't much more than $800. I mean, it was 100 and something more than 800. So, and I have a better investment. RVs are not good investments. They aren't. But as far as resale value and things, you can pick up nice used ones for good prices. I think that's probably what they did. I think he did say they got a used one or something. But it's the freedom. And I'm because I'm feeling it, and I don't have much of my own possessions. It seems like I have a lot of religious things. That's the bulk, and my books. And I have cooking things that I need to rid out, and I'd started to need to get more active on that. I just feel like I'm spread so many directions. Right now I want to just focus on the tile. But and get that going, and then I'm going to start painting more trim, because I'll have my daughters to paint once I do the final fitting. I cut another piece this morning that needed to be cut to finish up her baseboards in her both bathrooms. Because she wants to paint, get her going on that. She wants to, she has a little more time this month, not so much traveling. So it's just taken me so far away from what I want, what my heart yearns for, and what I have been missing. Even doing 2 or 3 hours, it was much better for me when I had given up. A couple of years ago, I just totally gave up, and for about, well, a good year and a half, it was after the knee surgery, that was 2 years ago, I just wasn't really doing. I thought, forget it. I'll just live in here as is. I don't care. I certainly didn't care. And die in here as is. But then this issue I had 9 weeks ago where I did nearly die. I did nearly died and was in ICU in the hospital, and I realized, oh my, I don't want to leave this mess for already unhappy adult children. And they're busy. That was the main thing. They are so busy with their careers. And now that it's down to just one person who's going to handle everything, I want to have it finished and ready for me to leave Earth and for the cloud to dissipate and be gone. I'd be up in heaven, or at least progressing in progression, purgatory, whatever you want to call the progression. So, I've decided in this time period just to bite the bullet and to offer this yearning. Let this yearning burn inside of me. Let it burn and impress upon me. Not to get called away. A hermit even needs to set boundaries with people who call with needs. And I'm fitting this in, helping, because it's charitable to do, and she needs the help, and she needs hauling capability. Home Depot would probably deliver, but she wants to. She likes to do things in a way. It's a very good habit, efficiently and now. Like my neighbor and like the friend, grandma, Sean's grandma. You know, they're used to having things done and done with immediacy, as soon as possible. And they're not used to dragging things out, which I have had to learn with my pain for years. I had to train myself out of it. I used to be like that. And it's not a bad way to be. It's very efficient. I just can't be that way. Especially as a hermit, when I get a call here or there, or a text needing this or that help, and if it's not out of bounds or excessive, of course, you know, hospitality, charity, love, and all of this is understood by God within bounds of the vocation. If it becomes habitual, if I would say, well, I'm going to start another house. I have so cooled on. When she said she was painting, I thought, oh, good. But it's going to be an adjustment for me I'll have to intentionally come up with something, but I can do for other people then. That can be my work. That can be my manual labor. And it will stay in bounds and contained, so that I won't have this ordeal of yearning for God and missing all that I used to do with God, alone with God. It was just wonderful. And that I got, and it could be that I should have just had total blind faith that I wouldn't need to go to a nursing home, or that my children would take care of it if I did. But knowing the situation with my children, that's not, and it's not wise to count on others to do. Hermits really need to live do for yourself, be self-sufficient as much as feasible. That's sort of the point. Lean on God. Lean on God, and God will provide and give us the means. So with arachnoiditis, high likelihood of being in a position of needing someone else's care for me. So I'll follow through as best I can. I've set December, just I don't know why, end of the year, and also thinking it's a month that they can probably have more time to do a trade if they still want to. And I was thinking this morning, she may end up realizing, oh my, I am so burdened not only with my job but taking care of this big house, especially when spring comes. The house may end up on the market anyway, and I would just get myself and maybe get tired of the drive through traffic to get to work every day for her and her fiance, and I may end up having finding a small place or getting an RV. If I could get into that RV park that's real close to the dog park, would be ideal. And I've always been intrigued by tiny homes. Just I would have to line the walls of an RV with shelves for the books and start selling the books, the ones that I've read. Don't need to keep them, or especially if I've shared them with you first, if they're of interest. But I haven't even been able to share things of really I don't consider of worth. But maybe this is of worth. Stay within a certain percentage, even those of you who are not hermits, percentage of world, and the rest God. And well, all for God, but we have to exist, and in part of that is in the temporal. So we have to be reasonable with some of it. Here's some of the wood I've already, these were some of the recuts I needed to do. Some fell over there. So I'm here going in. Praise God, and for the love of God, I'll set an intention for this. I think for her and her fiance, for them to continue to grow as a couple and to work out situations as they arise, frustrations. That always happens with any of us, with other people. So always good. Having another person can help us grow. And God provides that for me with people, but just not permanent relationship or close, living with me. So God bless you all. Have a beautiful day. And I'm with and in and through God, and that never changes. I just have to keep that in my mind, that He is in me and I am in Him, no matter the circumstances, even during this added time of more work and more mental work.